Hello everybody, this is your Digital Super Saiyan 3 back here with another video, and happy December everyone. And today's video, I plan to do this review for a while now, and that's the review of Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas that came out in 1999. It's an hour and 9 minutes, so yeah, let's get into this review. So yeah, this came out 25 years ago, and of course there was a sequel that came out in 2004 with Mickey's Twice Upon a Christmas, which I'll eventually do. But so I want to talk about this movie first. So let's talk about it. This is Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas. So we get into our opening of the movie as it's being narrated by Kelsey Grammer. Yes, that's right. Kelsey Grammer, who also voiced the Prospector in Toy Story 2, as well as playing the role, as well as being the first actor to play the role of Beast in X-Men. Yes, you hear me right. Kelsey Grammer was the original actor who first played Beast. So, we got 3 stories to talk about. Our first one is Donald Duck's Stuck on Christmas. So this is a story about Donald Duck. Well, more specifically, about his nephews, Huey, Dewey, and Louie. This is probably the most memorable segment I remember. You know, because of how memorable it is. I've watched this segment twice, and I just recently rewatched it. So, it's Christmas Eve, and we see Huey, Dewey, and Louie in their beds, as well as Donald, and then the morning of Christmas Day arrives, and Huey, Dewey, and Louie run downstairs to open their presents, only for Donald to come down with his breakfast and try to tell the boys, we had to wait for the family. Then Donald realizing, but it is Christmas after all. And of course, yes, hilarity does ensue as the breakfast falls on Donald's face. Of course, the family do end up showing up. We have Daisy, along with Donald's sister Gertie. Yes, apparently Donald has another sister, apparently. Donald's family is complicated, but we also have Uncle Scrooge, voiced by Alan Young. Yes, that's right. We have Scrooge McDuck in this Christmas special. So, the boys go out to play with their new sleds, but Donald forgot to tell them, wait boys, you forgot to read the card. So we do see the boys go out and sled, only to be called in for dinner by Daisy. And of course, we see Scrooge sing A Christmas Carol with Donald, Gertie, and Daisy, and the boys going upstairs to play with their toys. Or shall I say, all the boys are playing with their toys, and then, of course, Christmas is over, and then, of course, the boys decide, oh, boy, they make a wish on a star. Yes, that's right. This is Disney, after all. Of course, wishing on stars is kind of their thing. And Huey, Dewey, and Louie decide to wish that it was Christmas every day. So, we cut to the next morning, and what do you know? They hear Chip and Dale playing with their toy train, realizing, well, it is Christmas again. And the boys go to rush down to stairs to play with their toys, and the same thing happens like they did yesterday. Huey, Dewey, and Louie's Aunt Gertie shows up, and she gives them a kiss like she did the day before. I forgot to mention how affectionate this lady is. along with Daisy and Uncle Scrooge. And, of course, she tries to get Donald under the mistletoe. Okay. We see the boys go out to sled again. They have turkey again. And Donald tells them to mind their manners. Of course the boys should mind their manners. But Daisy says, "But they're just enjoying they're just enjoying the dinner I made, Donald." Then there's caroling, and then it's rinse and repeat. So basically, the boys begin reliving the same day, and the boys is like, "Okay, we gotta do something to shake things up." And the next day, they try to shake things up. They tried to help Donald with the breakfast, and apparently it didn't go so well. Of course, the boys swap out Daisy's turkey for a live turkey. And, of course, it wreaks havoc, and hilarity ensues as Donald is chasing the turkey throughout the house. Only for everything to get wrecked. And then, well, the boys finally read the card that Donald tells them, "Don't forget to read the card," and the boys finally read it. And they learn what Christmas really is all about. That it's about the hearts we've touched. Not about the toys, not about the caroling, but everything else. So yes, the boys decided to make the best Christmas ever, and of course, they do. They end up actually helping Donald out by making breakfast before Donald could come downstairs and before opening presents. The boys decide not to open their presents like they did last time. Of course, Daisy, Scrooge, and Gertie show up. The boys built Donald his dream boat, which was out of the parts of their sleigh. Out of the sleds they got from Donald. And of course, we see ham actually be used instead of turkey. And of course the turkey actually shows up. Heck, Huey, Dewey, and Louie even give Chip and Dale a bag of acorns, given the fact that they are chipmunks after all that like their nuts. So, yeah, that was really nice of them. So, yeah, the message of this story is be careful what you wish for. Next up, we got a very goofy Christmas, as this one is starring Goofy and Max. Goofy voiced by Bill Farmer, and Max being voiced by Sean Fleming. And yes, I also forgot to talk about Russi Taylor, who does the voice of Huey, Dewey, and Louie, as well as Minnie Mouse. And Bill Farmer also does the voice of Pluto. So, a very goofy Christmas starts off with Goofy and Max trying to mail their letter to Santa. Hilarity ensues as they begin chasing down the mailman trying to deliver their letter to Santa. We see Goofy trying to get the letter through various hijinks at the mall as Max tries to run through the mall with his bicycle with Goofy on top of the bike. But of course, when hilarity ensues, Max does catch the mailman, and the mailman is voiced by Jim Cummings, who also voices Pete and a lot of other characters in this special or in this movie. And because he's Goofy, Goofy crash lands through the mailman's truck, through the roof of the mailman's truck, and hands the mailman the letter to Santa. And as Goofy and Max begin shoveling snow to make way for Santa's arrival, well, Pete begins dumping snow on them, and then tells Goofy and Max, or shall I say, and then decides to tell Max that there is no Santa when Max is like, there is too a Santa, and Pete's like, there isn't a Santa. I've been all around the world, so I have not seen a Santa. So yes, this puts Max's faith in Santa Claus, well, in question. This was Max questioning his faith in Santa, but then there's his father, Goofy, who's trying to reassure Max that there is a Santa Claus. I mean, of course, because Goofy is the opposite of Pete. He's a very optimistic personality, while Pete is kind of closed-minded and is not skeptical like Pete is. Of course, Goofy tries to prove it to Max that there is a Santa. I mean, of course, Goofy takes Max to the neighbor's house and decides to help throw a Christmas dinner for them at the neighbor's house. And through various Goofy hijinks, Goofy manages to set up the Christmas feast very well. And we see Max try to question a child about his faith in Santa as well. And then Santa comes through the chimney, and, well, it happened to be Goofy. Disguised as Goofy dressed up as Santa, as Goofy tries to pull off the joy of trying to help the neighbors out, who are just less fortunate than him and Max. Of course, when Max sits on Santa's lap and tells him that he wants a new snowboard, and yes, Max says a mouthful with this snowboard wish that he wants. Because, after all, this is Max Goof we're talking about. Of course, hilarity ensues, and, well, it's revealed that the Santa that Max was sitting on the lap of happened to be Goofy. And Max is upset, and rightfully so he runs home, and he's sulking. And, of course, Goofy is, trying to get him back into the Christmas spirit. I mean, this is a dedicated father who will do anything to keep his son's Christmas spirit alive. Even willing to stay up all night just to spot Santa. I mean, sure, Goofy ends up falling off the roof, but given the fact that he was doing it for his son, of course, his son begins to regret what he did, and besides, he wants to restore Goofy's faith in Santa as well. And so, Max dresses up like Santa himself to restore Goofy's faith while Goofy is sitting in the living room of his house. And, of course, Goofy follows Max up the chimney when Max decides to try to climb up the chimney, and only to reveal that Max was the Santa that Goofy saw. But Goofy manages to save his son when he thought his son was Santa. But, of course, we do see Santa and Goofy embrace, only to see the real Santa flying by in his sled. And of course, Max gets his snowboard And Pete gets snow blown all over him as karma. Okay. And Pete was crying, "Come on, Santa! I knew you were real all along. Where's my yo-yo and my squirty gun?" Pete is so fickle. One thing. Pete is a complete hypocrite, to be honest. And now that he's realized Santa is real, he's trying to weasel his way out of being naughty. Of course, Goofy tells Max that what he always asks Santa is just for his son's happiness. Then we see Max and Goofy hug, and that's how Goofy's segment ends. And of course, earlier on, when they thought they spotted Santa, they happened to spot a Beagle Boy robbing Pete's house. Okay, that was kind of funny to see one of the Beagle Boys even in this short as well, as a little throwing cameo. And now we get to the Mickey segment of this movie. And we got Mickey's Gift of the Magi. Yes, that's right. The Mickey story is basically him having his own storytelling of the Gift of the Magi. We see Mickey is really good with his harmonica. And we see him and Pluto standing outside of a shop where he sees a chain on display that he wants to get for Minnie for Christmas. As he plans to make some good tips today to help him pay for Minnie's gift. Meanwhile, as Mickey is arriving at Minnie's house to have breakfast with her, Minnie, well, she's got bills that are due, and she wants to get Mickey something special. So she's hoping on this Christmas bonus that she has that she plans to get from her work at a department store. As Minnie wants to get Mickey a case for his harmonica. And so Mickey arrives at Minnie's house to have a pancake, and soon Mickey and Minnie begin leaving for work. Minnie goes hard at work at her department store, trying to be the best Santa's little helper she can be. While Mickey, on the other hand, is working for Pete at his tree lot. And of course, Pete is trying to muscle these people for a 10-footer tree. Yeah. Because Pete is just so greedy. And of course, this is Pete at his absolute over-the-top. I know we saw Pete earlier with his own part in the last segment. But with the Goofy segment. And yes, Pete plays a big role in this one too, as he's Mickey's boss. So, Mickey finds a tree out back for this family, even though the dad was short on money for this 10-footer. But before he can give Pete the money for the 10-footer, Mickey found the smaller tree, and it's at a much cheaper price. Of course, before Pete could sell his 10-footer, and unhappy that Mickey had helped these people, Pete takes the money Mickey made from the sale of from the small tree, as well as the other tips he made, because Pete's so greedy, he sticks the money in his pants, as well as the cigarette or the cigar he was smoking, and lit his own butt on fire, starting a fire. While Mickey and Pluto, well, they go over to the park, and Mickey is wondering, how am I ever gonna make it to that store to pay for Minnie's gift before 5 o'clock? And so Mickey begins playing at a toy drive for the fire department's annual toy drive in the park with his harmonica. And Mickey is a really big hit, and he plays with the fire department's band, who come back from the fire that broke out at Pete's lot. Mickey eventually makes it to the store, but as the store is about to close, the storekeeper hears Mickey play a sad song on his harmonica, and realizes maybe that harmonica is worth more. And so he opens the store and lets Mickey buy his chain for Minnie. Meanwhile, Minnie gets a fruitcake at her department store, but is unable to pay for the harmonica. But is unable to pay for the gift for Mickey's harmonica. So she ends up selling the watch that Minnie has for Mickey's harmonica case. Soon, Mickey and Minnie are in front of the fire. Pluto and Figaro open their gifts. Pluto has a bone and Figaro has a ball of yarn. And I forgot to tell you, Figaro is voiced by Frank Welker. While Mickey and Minnie open their gifts, Mickey sees that he has a harmonica case, and Minnie sees that she has a chain. Mickey told Minnie that he sold his harmonica to pay for the chain, and Minnie told Mickey that she sold her watch just to pay for Mickey's harmonica case. And soon we see them embrace, and that's how this segment ends. And so we get one final narration as Kelsey Grammer talks about the joys of Christmas and its effect on those who care about it. We then see Mickey and the others begin caroling one last time with Mickey and Minnie singing Jingle Bells while riding a sleigh being pulled by Pluto. Then, of course, we see Max and Goofy show up. And then, of course, we see Huey, Dewey, Louie, Donald, and Daisy show up, and we get one final "We Wish You a Merry Christmas," Jingle Bells, and, of course, forgot what other song they were singing, but yeah, you get the idea. And that's how this special ends. So overall, let's talk about which one of these I enjoyed the most. Well, after rewatching this, I gotta say the one I probably enjoyed the most was probably the middle segment with Goofy. I mean, it also proves why Goofy is Disney's best dad. That he'll do anything for his son. Even try to keep his faith and belief in Santa Claus alive. My second favorite segment has to be the Mickey segment but it also mostly just because I love the dynamic between Mickey and Minnie and how it shows their dynamic off very well. And then the last one being, of course, the Donald segment, which was more about Donald's nephews than it was about Donald. But Donald still got his kiss from Daisy under the mistletoe. So overall, this was Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas. It's definitely worth the watch if you could watch it every year. Anyway, this has been your Digital Super Saiyan 3, and I will see you guys next time. See ya!